Hello people and welcome to another episode of InfernoRemastered. Now today we are back in Portal 2 doing my Let's Build, and I'm going to build the ultimate Tower of Frustration. Apologies for this going out a bit late. I've been quite busy this week. Some secret stuff which you'll probably soon find out about. I also had to make a versus map this week as well for Rage, as you can probably already watch me failing miserably at my parkour. Fuck you, Rage. And so I'm going to show you how to make the ultimate Tower of Frustration. Now, firstly, I need to say a big thanks to Lepoy. Thank you for helping me out put the audio in at the beginning of my map, because without Lepoy I wouldn't have had a clue on how to do that using the hammer mod, which if I was doing a Let's Build with a hammer mod, it would be 90% of me explaining how and why I'm doing things, because it's so complicated. Which I hopefully plan to use a bit more in the future, but just to add some tweaks to my maps, not to make my maps in at all. So let's start with this first chamber. And yeah, as you guys have probably already just watched me fail at my parkour with Rage. Now I'm the worst when it comes to parkour, so I've asked Rage, hopefully at some point in the future I'm going to get a rematch, and I'll be able to play him at something other than parkour, because when it comes to parkour I fail miserably. The fact that it was my map, one, I've never liked parkour, and I just don't like doing parkour. Anyway, back onto the chamber. I say I'm sure if we had a map with puzzles on, I'm sure I would beat Rage then. So we'll have to find out and see at a later date, won't we? Right. So for the first chamber we had a laser puzzle. Now I'm not going to go into complications. One, because I can't remember exactly how I made it, because this took a lot of testing to make sure it couldn't be glitched. Eventually Rage figured out how to do it. It basically involved four corners, let's make these a little bit bigger, with inputs on, and all the inputs had to be turned on. The way to get that done was to have trigger inputs. What am I on about? The way to get that done is you had to preset some. So we had some laser cubes, one in each corner. Where's it gone? Reflective. Oh, I think Portal just crashed. No, there we go. Reflective cube. Come on, don't crash, Portal. Portal is crashing. Has it crashed? No. Nearly crashed. Portal's been having a lot of bugs with it recently. It's been noticing for Rage it seems to keep crashing. Me, it's going very fast. I'm getting like 2 frames a second at the moment, so I don't know what the audio is going to be like. Random jump cut back into the game. I don't know why Portal decided to go really slow then, but right. So we've got 4 laser cubes in each corner. We had a couple of lasers. I believe there was one across here. We had an input here. And obviously in the middle we had a door. Where's the door gone? I can't see the door. I'm going blind. There's the door. Let's put you up there. And we had a laser across the middle of the map. So a lot of the time you had to get the correct combination, otherwise either the laser would be turned on or the door would be turned off, unless all of the inputs had a laser going through them. So I had a trigger input here. I think that cube was more like there. With let me get, where's the starting? Let's put the start block in the correct place. I made the door for it, the gap for it, but never put it there. Right. So we had another trigger input here. So a lot of the time, for example, we would have a laser here. It's already travelling through an input, but for the doors to open correctly, to get all the inputs turned on, this laser has to be facing this input. So you then need to send another laser from somewhere else to trigger this input. In fact, that laser was on the back of the door here because I had another laser there. So a lot of them already had a laser going through them. But that's not the laser that needs to be through them because it's not possible to complete it that way. So, in fact, this one did, but you've got to use this laser basically to get around the map to set all the other lasers correctly, and then finally set this laser to the correct input. There was one input that did not need to be used over here. I put a portable surface on there just to show it doesn't need to be used. So I said to Rage on my audio at the back that that one's not need to be used. This just turned on a bridge to get to this. This just made the puzzle a bit more difficult because you have to aim this laser away from this input, which turned the laser on to here to jump across. So you had to do it in the correct way. Otherwise, because if you use this cube to turn this on, you're stuck on this side. So that will turn when you. No, because when you do that, you'll be fine. You'll be able to go up but to solve the puzzle, this laser has to be over here, which means the cube has to be, I think, it has to be like up here. In fact, the cube to aim that at an angle, which means it turns this off, which turns the laser on. So then you can't get across over to here when this bridge is up. So you've got to do it all in the right order. There's only one way of solving it. I think Rage managed to kind of get half of it solved without realising, and then he figured the rest out, so he got a little bit lucky there actually. But he did spend quite some time on this puzzle. Right, so I'm not going to faff around with the first puzzle. That's kind of enough explaining done on that. Now on to the second part of the chamber, where I had some steps. Now this had two ways of solving it. Rage figured out the more glitchier way of solving it, which I knew was doable, but he had already fallen for my traps, which I assumed he would, so I was quite happy with that. Right, have I made this too wide? Or too small? 1, 2, 3. No, that's just right. So, need to make that much longer. Now here we had 3 sets of steps. We had 1, 2, and 3. And basically he's got to go up a ramp. Now to stop me from having to put lots of trigger inputs along here, I've had to set some grids. They had to be grids, not glass, because of the laser. I wouldn't be able to set the laser along here else, which I'll show you in a second. So that's just going to stop him from glitching. And this, no, I don't need to set that back. So we have the laser is on here. Yeah, it does need to be set back. So that's got to be set back. And that's got to be set back. If this was glass, lasers can't travel through glass, so these would turn red. So watch if I change this to glass, it doesn't like it being glass, so I have for the barrier type as grating. I was quite happy for it to be that. So let's make this a laser, and it starts turned off. So the first ramp isn't going to disappear. This one is just going to stay on, but when he gets up to the top, this is going to turn on the kill laser, which is ground level, so he can't crouch through it, which is going to kill him. Now this second block, I've got 2 trigger inputs on there, button type. So it's a multiple trigger input, so this means when he jumps off it, the ramp will move back up. Now you need 2 here, because if I have 1 in front, when he walks onto the second half, the ramp will just move back up, so I have to have a second one here. The third ramp, so this was the 2 ways of solving. The third ramp only had the trigger input at the front of the ramp, so he just had to walk onto the back. So this worked really well in the fact he walked up to this one, saw it drop down, he walked up to this one, saw it drop down, went up to the third one, realised it wasn't going to fall, and hit the trigger input. So he can either fully walk up this ramp. If he moves further forwards, the ramp will then move up, so he can get up on top, or you can walk up this ramp and you can jump across to the very tip of this ramp, because it's just out of the trigger input, which is what Rage did in the end. And then even if it does drop down, I think if you jump quick enough, you can jump onto this platform here. So once he's got up through there, which he did fall for my trap on that one very nicely, fell for that hook, line and sinker. We had some beam bridges to get across. So this chamber was nowhere near this long. I have to shorten this in a second. Now obviously you can't get to this beam bridge on the end because there's the trigger input there, which is going to kill him. So I actually made this look friendly. There was no spikes beneath here, but I decided to make something different. I've only used these once before in a map. Well, I've only used these as a trap once before. So we've got the very loud spikes. Unfortunately, Rage first time chose the correct path for these, which unfortunately you didn't get to this trap work, so I might have to use this trap again at a later date, just so you can see how it's going to kill the rage. Now, for some reason, these spikes, they can pass through with the B mod. They can pass through pretty much anything. So they will actually pass through this block as well as the laser bridge. So if he was to choose the wrong ones, so in fact choose the correct one, which happened to be this path. So these trigger inputs here were going to turn. Oh, it needs to be rotated more sideways. Oh. These two trigger inputs were going to turn the spikes on to kill the rage. This one doesn't look deadly. In hope that rage might spot, was hoping in rage I might spot that, go through the trigger input, being silly and killing himself again. And this one was nice and safe, which is he managed to choose first time, unfortunately. So that trap, there's only the one trap he didn't fall for. Everyone, all the other traps he found, he fell for perfectly. So after this, that was the next room. So I did make this room far too big. Let's close that down and let's pull that up. So he then moved on to the next room, and the next room, there's a trap in the corridor first. So he dropped down. Now I couldn't have this room underneath here because of these big items. So I had to go sideways this way, so I had to go around, and then let's go one more just to be on the safe side, and then I had to take a corridor this way. Now when Rage jumps down, there is a hidden turret in here. Hello turret. And that's hidden by a wall at 90 degrees. And so when he jumps down, there is a trigger input which closes this door so the turret can see him. Now, I tested this when you drop down and run along this corridor, and I went round the corner because you can see that this is the correct route. If you just walk along there around the corner quick enough, the turret doesn't shoot you enough to kill you, so I needed to slow Rage down. So I didn't have enough items left to hide this laser, otherwise I would have hidden it. But this laser was basically there just to slow slow Rage down. So it slowed him down that he had to crouch, therefore the turret can kill him, because once you get pretty much one block in this direction, you're too far away to turn around and grab the turret. So this is just to slow him down for the turret to kill him. So when he drops down, you need to turn, grab the turret straight away before heading on, which Rage fell for beautifully. Onto the next chamber where we had... Now this chamber, because I used up so many items on my laser puzzle at the beginning, I wanted this to be a lot bigger, but I had to resort to having it not as large as I was wanting, simply because I've run out of items that I could place. I wish I could have, as it being the ultimate tower. I mean, if you could set unlimited items on the portal map, I can make my maps 100 times better, because a lot of the time I use the maximum amount of items I can place in the map, so I can't make my traps any more complicated. Because sometimes I'll make some traps really complicated, and but because I've used up so many items on making that trap complicated, I don't have any left to use in the rest of the map. Right, I think this is the right size. Yes, so here we had a simple puzzle. I wanted this to be 4x4 at least, but it ended up having to be 3x3 because I did not have enough items left to place enough trigger inputs. I wanted it also to be originally was just going to be water and for the plates to drop down, but it ended up just being kill lasers. Because they used up different items. Some items seems to take up more space than other items. I think Portal's about to crash on me again, so I might have to have another random jump cut here. Nope, I think it's going to be okay. Okay, no random jump cut it is. Right, so I might speak too soon now, it's probably to freeze again. Right, so now I'll just show you quickly here. I had the lasers set at ground level as a type laser. In fact, there was no need for a middle laser because they're all safe blocks. But I had the one on there just to scare him anyway, in case he looked at the sides. Now, the reason why I've recessed these and sent them back, because if I just left them on the wall, you could just park or and jump on these all the way across the other side, glitching the chamber. So these are recessed back, so you can't do so. You probably could jump from. You can jump from a block sideways, but all you can do is jump back onto this block again. So trigger inputs, we had 2 here to turn this laser on, 2 at the back, so the correct route through is a nice long S shape. Now Rage know me very well because I could have had the correct route being that. He nearly jumped onto this one, but he knew no, Inferno's not going to make it a short route. He's going to make it the longest route possible. But that also required an extra trigger input. So doing it that way used less blocks because I was running out of blocks to use. So I wanted this to be much bigger and a lot more wavy. So when I had a 4x4, I could make it so you have to turn and go backwards for the correct route. But unfortunately, I'd used up too many items already on this map. Otherwise, I chose to go with more puzzles that weren't so good, then less puzzles that were complicated. And because my first one was so complicated, decided to make the other puzzles not so complicated with less items on them. Then the final chamber drops down was quite simple. This is what I gave him the hint at the beginning because Rage managed to get through this without realising what the correct way really was, just for kind of pausing, saving and restarting. But to get through this, come on, oh no, that's as low as I can go, so let's make that one higher, and let's make that ceiling one higher. So we had this side of the room we had a portable wall, and this side of the room we had a portable wall. And underneath there was some nice sloshy water. Now here you had to get to the other side. Oh, not quite too thick. And there you've got the blue portal gun, so you can't just portal to the other side. And what I pretty much used on my last map, this is very similar, so hidden away, somewhere that Rage doesn't need to get to, we have a beam bridge like so, and that needs to be lower so you can actually jump on it. There we go. And we have a portable surface with a orange portal on there, and I had a second room which simply just had a portable surface on there with a orange portal. So he would start with the beam bridge orange portal turned on, because as he drops down to this chamber there'll be a trigger input that turns on this orange portal, giving him the beam bridge. So when he sets a portal on here, the beam bridge comes out, and he needs to make his way across the other side with the beam bridge. Now on the sides I had some lights, basically where the lights were safe, so if there was anywhere, say where there wasn't a light, like so, the beam bridge wouldn't work, because on there would be a trigger input. So that would mean when he travels through this trigger input, this changes to the other portal with no beam bridge, so he's just going to fall down into the water and die. So I had multiple of these inputs along here, so basically he would have to go along here, back to this side, further along, back to this side, further along, so he would have to go back and forth to the other sides, because if he would go too far, stick to one side, he would go from the trigger inputs, dropping him into the water to get him to the end. Now at the very end I had my final, like I always do, my final killing corridor. Now I'm not going to show how I made that. It had 3 traps in it. He fell for 2 of them. He managed to crouch underneath the laser halfway through, but there was 2 dropping traps. I'm not going to show you guys how to make that, because that's what I like to keep to myself. Otherwise everybody will be making my end traps, and that's my thing. So that's pretty much the end of the Ultimate Tower of Frustration. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching Rage play it. I'm glad I didn't come last. I knew I wasn't going to beat Lepoy or Unisjet, as they use the hammer mod and can make things 100 times better. It takes 100 times longer to do so as well, but yeah, I knew I wasn't going to beat them. So I was beating Unisjet at one point, but I think you got the old hardcore Unisjet fans from the beginning who voted for Unisjet. So that's why Rage says he was a bit surprised I didn't come third. But I didn't come last. Very happy at that. So thank you guys whoever voted. I was happy as long as I didn't come last. So thank you guys, and if you're tuning next week, I will have my Let's Build for my versus map of me failing my parkour. So you guys can watch that next week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time.